So today we're going to talk about how to launch Liferay projects faster, and what that means and how you can use WeDeploy to leverage that. So last year, we presented WeDeploy for the first time. That was the alpha version, and we basically we made a showcase of like all the demos and things you could build with WeDeploy, like some features we had, and what were our plans for the future. Our idea over there was pretty much showing the product, how it works, and get your feedback. Now, 1 year later, here I am, once again, and now to announce even more cool stuff, and announce something that is not only an alpha or a beta anymore, something that is real, something that you can use today. So if you, like, how many people were there last year? Raise your hands. Nice, cool. So most of you probably never heard about WeDeploy, or you heard but you don't really know what it is. But basically WeDeploy, if like we could say it like very short, is a cloud it's a cloud platform for developers. Okay, it can help like small to very big businesses. It can help you work with any kind of application. That's what WeDeploy is in its essence. But how can we leverage WeDeploy with Liferay Portal, Liferay DXP, Portal CE? What are the challenges? If, let's say, forget about WeDeploy now, we're going to get there. But what are the challenges to deploy a Liferay Portal? And there are many, and I'm just going to mention a few of them. Like, so the first decision you have to make when you put something online is like, okay, what is going to be the operating system that I'm going to run this? Is it Ubuntu, Debian, or Alpine, or Fedora, what it is? And then you're like, okay, now I know my operating system. I probably need a database, maybe MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, SQL Server. So many options. You pick one, you go. What is going to be the app server? My application server, Tomcat, or maybe WebLogic. In the Java world, you have many options. You also have many options in different languages. So you pick one of those. And then maybe or not, you're going to put like an Apache or Nginx in front of your application. So you need to pick one of them as well, learn it, and put it in production. And then in the end, okay, you're not going to run Liferay with the embedded Elasticsearch, so you need standalone Elasticsearch to run with that. And since you're putting Elasticsearch in the cloud, maybe you're going to put some Kibana or Logstash as well, the whole Elastic stack. And then you go to the world and you put your Liferay in the cloud, or just in any server. There are many things that you need to consider. Besides all those things, how you're going to manage each of those decisions that you made, like what is the version of each of those softwares, how you're going to upgrade those softwares. You need a team, maybe like a database manager, like to handle your database. There are like so many decisions you need to make. And once you put it live, how you're going to monitor that, how you're going to see how the servers are behaving, what if something goes wrong, what if you have a downtime. There are just like many things to consider. And I'm not even talking about like security, which is like another super big problem. So it's a very big challenge. And we thought about that, and we tried to think not only for Liferay Portal, but any kind of application, how we could put it live in an easy way. Something that if you are a developer and you want to be autonomous, you want to go in one weekend and write an application and put it live, you're able to do it. So let's see how the process looks on WeDeploy. So the first thing you can do, one of the options is you can deploy from the terminal. So what we have is a WeDeploy.json file. That's like our contract. And then you can specify an ID, that's like the name of your service, and then the image, that's like the type of my service. And we fetch that information from Docker Hub. So that image is on Docker Hub. And then you use the CLI. You type WeDeploy, and then you choose the name of your project, or you don't choose, and we give you a random one, and then you run this command. And that's it. We give you a URL. The way this URL is formatted is name of your service dash name of your project dot WeDeploy.io. And you can share that URL with your friends. If it's something that it's like not production, you can use that. And also every deployment that we make, we generate a ATPS certificate, and we make sure that is renewed and everything else. That's all you need. So in practice, let's see how it looks like. So here I am on my Sublime text, and I'm creating the WeDeploy.json file. I'm specifying the ID, I'm declaring the type of my service. Now I'm going to my terminal, running the command, and now I get like this live feedback on my terminal, and then I can see, okay, the build worked, it deployed. I got this URL, okay, let's check it out in the browser. There you go, it's live. So that's how you can deploy a Liferay using WeDeploy. And I don't know for you guys, but for me, it's like, wow. You know, I remember when I first joined Liferay and I was playing for the first time, everything was so hard, and I was like, oh man, I'm so frustrated. I just wanted to put something live. And now we finally made it in such a way that you can. Okay, so that's one way of deploying. But maybe you're not that familiar with the terminal. You want something easier. Well, you can use your browser. So you can go to the console. That's our dashboard where you can make changes and do all sorts of things over there. I'm just going to log in with my account. And now I have a list of all my projects. And then I'm going to create a new project. That's the same flow as the CLI, but I'm just declaring the name of my project first. So, okay, that's the name of my project. And now I can install services. We have several services, but for this, I'm choosing the DXP trial that we have over there. So you can pick like how many CPUs you want, how much of memory, and you launch it. And there you go. Now you have a Liferay DXP in the cloud from this console. And what is nice about this, and I have done several times this, like for the past few months, we have been helping developers a lot. There's a lot of support work required. And there were times where I was like going to lunch, and because of the time zone differences, I was like, oh man, I need to answer this person. And I was actually deploying from my phone several times and like checking things and just sharing the URL. So that's super cool to have something on the web that you can work on. So that's what we call the instant deployment. So we have those two options. You can either use the console or you use the command line, but the principle is the same. You define what you want, and we deploy that instantly for you. But there's another way. You can deploy with GitHub, and that's very, very nice. The way you can do that, so you go to this deployment tab, and you click connect to GitHub. So you go to the GitHub interface, authorizes, and then I'm going to pick the repository that I want. I'm going to pick the branch. I'm going to connect it. But the problem is my repo is still empty. So let me go to my terminal and my project. I already added the WeDeploy JSON. I'm just going to type a git push. So now I'm pushing. GitHub got what was there and deployed that for me. So how that works. So this is another kind of deployment that we have, which is the continuous deployment. So basically the workflow is this. You do a git push to GitHub, GitHub as the remote, and then GitHub receives the code, triggers a webhook, and then we listen to that webhook, and then we start the deployment process. So those are the two options. They work very, very well. It's very nice to have your whole project in a versioning system that people can fork and make changes. Or maybe you just want a different environment, so you just like fork the repo. So it's very nice. Okay, putting something online quickly is important. Of course, we don't want to have like 1 hour or hours of deployment windows that we need to go through or days or whatever it is. We want to speed up that process so we have a faster go-to-market strategy. But what if something goes wrong? Deployment is not only, it's not the only part of the whole process. Well, you can manage logs. In the same way, you can use the console. So you can go and then you can see, okay, what's going on my Liferay. Of course, in all these demos, I'm speeding up, so you guys are not like, okay, sitting there waiting for things to happen. But of course, like Liferay takes like a minute to boot up. So you can check the logs and see, okay, is this really going well? And then in the end, you see the server startup message, and now you can access your Liferay. But you can also visualize logs in your terminal. So the same way that you can do things on the console, you can do on the CLI. So now we're just typing WeLog instead of WeDeploy, specifying the name of the project. And you can also use this watch flag that if something happens, you can see the logs in real time right from your terminal. So we want to be flexible. Some people, they spend their whole days on the terminal, and that's awesome. We want to have a good experience over there. But if you're someone like a front-end developer, you just started like last year, maybe you're not too familiar with the terminal, so you can use the console. Okay, but what if I'm not just one developer sitting at my house during the weekend trying to do something for fun? I'm actually building a project with my team on like Monday to Friday, how those things work. So you can actually invite collaborators to your project. So you can go there on the console and then you can invite someone. Okay, I'm inviting a few people, and then they receive an email, they accept it, and now they have access to this whole console. And if something goes bad, you can just say, hey, can you check it out over there? Can you help me? Here are the logs. You don't need to like download this whole thing and send to them, and they have no idea what you're talking about. How's your environment? Now they can actually grab the same environment that you have. They can see what are the environment variables. They can see anything. And you can actually audit team activities. Because what happens when you invite someone? For example, I invited my wife last night when I was recording this demo, and she changed the environment variable. And now my deployment failed. So now I know what's going on. Someone on my team broke something, and I know exactly what happened. If they delete like any activity, any operation they do on the system, it's recorded over there. So you can actually take action into those things. Okay, that's nice. You have logs, you can deploy quickly, and you can invite other people to collaborate. Collaboration is important. That's why we chose the name WeDeploy, not I deploy. So what if you want to do more than that? This example, we're only putting a trial of Liferay DXP in the cloud. It runs on HSQL, not the best solution in the world, so how we can integrate with another database. Let's say you pick MySQL, okay? So I'm gonna create a new folder called MySQL. We deploy that JSON file. I'm gonna specify another ID and another environment variable, and then specify the image, which is MySQL from Docker Hub. Oops. And then you're gonna put that live. So basically, it's the same idea. You have this WeDeploy JSON where you specify what is this, and what do you need in this environment. For this case, and if you're like really passionate about databases, you're probably gonna freak out if I just use the root user for my MySQL, but that's what I'm gonna do for demo purposes. And now you can put a MySQL database live. So I'm gonna deploy that, and I'm gonna deploy my Liferay instance, and I made that change on my portal properties as well, so that's pretty cool. And you can actually have your Liferay connected to MySQL in the cloud. But how that works? How Liferay connects to MySQL? So each project that you build, it's actually a private network. You can imagine each project as a private network and each service as a container, which it is, a Docker container. So each of those containers, they can communicate between themselves inside this private network. A database is a good example because you don't want to expose your database through HTTP, right? You don't want people to be able to just like try to access it. So what you can do is you put this container next to each other and you communicate using the host name of the machine. So the ID that I'm always declaring, that's actually the host name of my container. So that way I can communicate between different services inside that private network. So my database is never exposed. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's expand this more. Let's say I have some redirects. I need something in front of my application. So I chose to use Apache, and I created this file. This is the configuration file that I created. And basically, it's just accessing Liferay using AJP. So I'm going to create a Docker file now. So this is something that is cool about WeDeploy. You can either use this WeDeploy JSON, which you can declare the port, declare the environment variables, all those things, or you can actually write a Docker file. Let's say you need to download something and you need to expose other ports, and there's so many things you can do. So you can actually do that. So in this example, we just deployed Apache. And now I'm actually accessing the Apache URL over here. So that's my new URL. I'm not accessing Liferay. So what happens here is that now I have my private network, my project is growing, right? So I have my DXP connecting to my SQL, and then the Apache is communicating to DXP, and only Apache is now exposed. But how can I integrate with more, right? Like, okay, that's nice. I have a different database. I'm getting there. I have a web server in front of it, but I'm not going to put the embedded Elasticsearch. So let's put a search engine. Let's go there and create a new folder and a new file. We deploy JSON once again. So now I'm just declaring the image. It's going to be Elasticsearch. I can set things like the memory and CPU right from that file as well. I just put the configuration of Liferay inside the OSGI configs folder. So now I'm deploying this Elasticsearch, just checking the logs. Okay, is that live? Yes, that's familiar. So now my Elasticsearch is live. I can decide to expose that through HTTP or not. I can block the port. In this case, it's open just for the demo purposes, but you can decide to block. So now I'm evolving even more. I'm having all these pieces in my infrastructure. That's pretty cool. But we are also not naive, and we know that, okay, in a real scenario, you have Liferay, and you probably have all those things like a database, like a search engine, a web server. But you also have other systems. Maybe you have WordPress. Maybe you have, I don't know, anything, Joomla or Django or Rails. You have like, it doesn't matter what is the application, you can run it. And just to prove that, let's say you have another version of Portal CE. Let's say, okay, I'm not on Liferay 7 yet. I'm not on DXP. I'm actually on 6.2. Well, there's an image from the community that you can use it. So we can just declare that on our WeDeploy JSON, and now I have 6.2 live. Or actually I have a 6.1. So you can use that same image from the community and put it over there. So it's important to know that those images are not like officially supported. They are in an experimental support phase, but everything that is on Docker Hub, you can use it. So that's another case. Cool. So we have all those pieces together. But now my project is getting bigger and bigger, right? Like now I need to worry about much more things than I used to. Now I need to worry about how my application is performing. So you can go there and you have the list of all the services you have. You can analyze each one or just analyze the whole project. In this case, I'm checking how is my Elasticsearch going? How much CPU it's consuming, how much memory it's consuming, how much data I transfer in and out. And I can actually change the time frame that I'm checking that data. And of course, like if you want to use New Relic, Dynatrace, that's totally fine. That's just one option that you can have to visualize how much you're consuming in a quickly way. And if you have more than one instance, we're going to show different lines in that graph so you can actually see how that is going through multiple instances. So we have application metrics for CPU, memory, and transfer. And that's really nice to just be able to see that real quick. But what if I need to scale? Let's say tomorrow I'm on the newspaper, or not the newspaper, but maybe TechCrunch. How can I scale that? Well, you just put another line in your WeDeploy JSON that you can define how many instances you want to have. So in this case, I'm putting 2 instances for my Apache TPD. So there you go. Now, when there's traffic to that service, we have a load balancer in front of it that will know, okay, should I put the traffic on this instance or the other one? And that gives you the ability to scale even faster. And also, let's say you want to make a change in your Apache. One thing that I didn't put on the slides, but it's super important, is that we have high availability, and we do, the way we do deployments, we try to always have a 0 downtime deployment. So when you make a change and you push it, we don't just, so let's say you have something online right now, and you make a change and then you push it. We're not just going to replace one with the other right away. So you have this, it's deploying, and if it fails, we drop it. This one keeps live. The user continue visiting your website, their traffic is normal. But if it succeeded, then we put it live, and then we drop this one. So we want to make sure that there's no downtime for your users. That's super important. And what if I need help? Let's say something is not working as it's supposed to be. Well, you have some ways that you can check. So we have a status page with like how our services are behaving. You can check that. You can check. You can subscribe with your email or for telephone. Like, okay, if I want to receive an SMS when WeDeploy is down, you can. We also have a help center. So the most frequent asked questions, we try to expose those as information on this help center. So sometimes you don't want to go there and ask someone, wait for the response, and then the response goes back like one day after. You want to be able to just quickly search and see if the answer is there. So you can do that using the help center. But what if there's no way? Like, I need to talk to someone. Well, the first thing you can do is maybe talk to the community. So we have a Slack channel. You can go there. We have like 300 people, I guess, and you can ask questions and people answer. So it's very cool. It's very vibrant environment. But what if I need actual help from someone from the WeDeploy team? So we have this green box on the left that you can open in any page and talk to us in real time. You can put your email, close the application, the reply is going to appear there, or on SMS, or you can just stay there, and if we answer like 1 minute after, you're going to see the information. And it's like a chat inside the application, so you can see the response right away. So we have those 4 channels that you can get support: uptime status page, help center, community chat, and customer support. But is that all? Okay, putting things on the cloud seems nice, but what if I need something else? What if I'm doing a serverless app, or I want to use this platform not only on the deployment phase, but also on the building phase, when I'm actually writing my code, and I want to be more productive in that phase as well. So we're not just a place to put your files online. That's not the goal of WeDeploy. In this talk, I tried to emphasize how fast it is and how you can put anything in the cloud, but that's just one piece of WeDeploy. We actually have 3 services that you can use. WeDeploy Auth, WeDeploy Data, and WeDeploy Email. So with Auth, you can authenticate users using like few lines of code. So if you don't want to build the whole authentication system, you're just having like a static page, some JavaScript, and you want to authenticate, or you're building an iOS app and you want to just have authentication and nothing else. So you can use this. If you want to send email, you have an Android app that has a contact form, and when you fill that form, you click send. You don't want to build the whole backend for that. You don't want to set up the whole infrastructure just to send an email. You just want to have a contact form that works. So you can call these APIs. And we have data which is super powerful, that you can do real-time queries on this database and search capabilities. So this is one demo that we created recently, and it's basically a catalog of TV shows. So we have like a 25,000 records on this database, and now I'm gonna search for like Game of Thrones. So we get the results really quickly, like 3 milliseconds. You can search in different facets with like, okay, I want Game of Thrones, but in crime, or Titanic, and you filter by the year, or by the rating. So this database is super powerful. If you are building something that you don't need to, you don't have like a whole team to manage the database, you want something quick, you want something powerful that you can build like meaningful things, you can use those 3 services as well. And for each of those, we have SDKs. So those are pretty much microservices in the cloud, okay? You can call those APIs and you get a result. But in order to make it better and easier for you, we created 3 different SDKs. One in JavaScript, one in Swift, and one in Java. So you can access that data in web, iOS, or Android. So that's WeDeploy. And who's using for real nowadays? So of course, at Liferay, we take dogfooding really serious. We have several systems running on WeDeploy. Like if I open my account, I have like 70 projects. So we have like all these websites that we built, Sena, Metal, all there. We have like the Liferay master is built every day and deployed on WeDeploy, so the whole company can, if they want to see the master of Liferay right away, they can just go to the browser and type it. The latest community website is built on WeDeploy. We have websites from events all around the world, like this is from Brazil, just one example, using WeDeploy. We have like companies, this is a construction company in California using WeDeploy. Those are projects that are running in production, even though WeDeploy was beta since today, now is stable. They were using WeDeploy. So where we are right now. So we have like 500 users, active users, so that's like people that signed up on the last 30 days. The total users, 3,000, many projects created, 11,000 deployments so far. We launched Alpha last year, and we launched with 8 services, collaborators, custom domains, all these features. 2 months ago, we released beta, which was much more stable, much more features. Now you're actually able to deploy any Docker container. That was really powerful. ATPS was also on that. And now, today, we are stable. So we're actually releasing usage metrics for you, pricing plans, and official support. So where we are headed with WeDeploy. Today, you can go to console.wedeploy.com and visualize from all the projects that you have how much you're consuming from each service. That's a good visualization of how much you're consuming WeDeploy. And you can actually pick different pricing plans that we put together and we're launching today. So you can scale as much as you can. We have like different tiers for how much storage you're consuming, RAM, CPU, all that stuff. If you want to learn more about WeDeploy, we're going to have a workshop tomorrow that'll be really hands-on. We also have a booth over there, so you can talk to us. We have stickers, so that's nice. And you can try it out now. Go to WeDeploy.com. We pushed this new website live 10 minutes before this talk, so check it out. And I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much.